welcome. Here today, we are talking with Laura Zahnd, the Director of Member Services from the Missouri Coalition Against Domestic and Sexual Violence. We're so glad to have you here with us today, Laura.
Thank you. It's really nice to be here.
Absolutely. And if you could start just by telling us more about yourself and the coalition, as well as what inspires and sustains you in this work.
Sure. Yeah. So I've been with let me go back even before the coalition. I started doing this work, I like to say, like in the 1900s. So it was like 1995 when I started working in a shelter. I started working as my official title, which, I'm so glad they don't have these titles anymore. My official title was Child Victimology Specialist. So I started working in the 90s when victimology became like a very catchphrase. But basically what I did is I was in charge of the children's program at a shelter. So I truly do come at this work in most of my life with the sense of humor of about a fourth or fifth grade boy, I think. So it served me well throughout. But yeah, so I worked in a shelter and then rape crisis center between 95 and 2000, then went to work at a prosecutor's office and was the domestic violence advocate in a prosecutor's office and worked both civil and criminal cases, and then had the opportunity to come work at the coalition, the Missouri Coalition, in 2003, and started off as, at the time, what was called a program development specialist, and basically did training and technical assistance around the state for all the domestic and sexual violence programs. In 2015, I took a brief hiatus and had the opportunity to go work at Rosebrook Center in Kansas City, which is a 100-bed domestic violence shelter, and was the director of residential services there, and did that until 2017. And I had missed that coalition work, that statewide and that macro level work, and had the opportunity to come back and have been back here ever since. Missouri, we are, for a middle of the country rural state, we have a lot of member organizations. We have about 120, 125 member organizations. There are, across the state, like 65 domestic violence shelters, physical shelters. We have programs across the state that don't necessarily have shelter, but they do a lot of outreach and like hotel placement. We also have rape crisis center. There is only one primary purpose rape crisis center in the state, and for the most part, all of the other programs that are providing services really are dual domestic and sexual violence programs. So yeah, we've been around for the last 41 years now. We would have celebrated 40 years during the pandemic. So basically our big 40th anniversary party was very uneventful. So, but no, we've been around a long time. We do a lot of, just like a lot of other coalitions, we do a lot of public policy work, a lot of change in laws, trying to work with legislators, but also we provide a lot of training and, like I said, that technical assistance for advocates around the state. We work very closely with executive directors. One, I think, really kind of cool thing that we do is for new directors, and we call it Directors Academy. So as new executive directors are coming into programs, we run a whole series of stuff just for those new directors so that they can connect and get that information that they need as well. We're doing more like middle manager trainings, because we do, as programs are building, we're finding that there are more middle managers in programs that didn't have them before. So we've got that going too. And we just recently launched, I think it was July 1st, what we call Advocates Academy. So for new advocates coming into the work, it's at least 48 hours of training that you can kind of do at your own pace, that it is online. And then a couple times a week, we're doing open office hours for advocates to jump on and ask any questions they have about those trainings. That's a little bit about the coalition. And then I think the other part of your question, like what inspires and sustains me in this work, I started this work, really, it was about the stories of survivors. I was doing crisis work during the flood in Missouri in 1992 and 93. And it was outreach at work into these smaller rural counties in Missouri. And I met the director of the shelter at the time that was in St. Joe, where I'm from. And we got to talking. And in a previous life, I had worked at a local television station in the production side of things. And I was really interested in maybe doing some video work for the shelter, because they were interested in maybe doing some video work and getting some marketing kind of stuff out. And I said, well, I'd be willing to talk with you about that. And one of the things that she had suggested was maybe, and of course got all the permission needed and that kind of thing, but she was like, would you like to come in and sit through one of our support groups? And they ran support groups that were for people not staying in shelter. So they were community members that could come in, kind of thing. And I was like, sure, as long as it's okay with everybody. And they were, nobody wanted their face shown. So it was an interesting way of trying to shoot stuff. But I was listening to the stories, and it was one of those moments of like, oh my gosh, this is what I want to do. This is the work I want to do. I want to try, and it was beyond help people. It was more like, I want to be there to support. I want to be there on that journey. But yeah, it was the stories that just connected with me somehow and just stuck. And it was weird. A few months later, the position for the children's coordinator came open. I applied and got the job. And I think this is what I'm supposed to be doing. It just kind of stuck. So, and like I said, then I know that's been a while back. And so as we kind of talk a little bit more about what stuff looks like now, having that opportunity then to go back into direct service in 2015 to a program that really they were a part of a low barrier rules and voluntary services program that had been a part of the Missouri Shelter Rules Project, having that opportunity to go in and actually put my money where my mouth was and see how it actually works, and it does. And I know we're going to talk more about that, but yeah, so I've got that couple of years of actually watching it work recently. So yeah.
It's always funny how the work finds us, even
if
it's a different field, it finds us.
Yep.